So this meditation is entitled Dancing by the Light of the Moon. And it's been so fun to do this week because we've had a full moon throughout the week and just the beautiful skies and stars shining everywhere. So please join with me, and knowing that this meditation can fill you with the love and magic of a moonlit night. The moon is often equated with the power of the divine feminine and with the magic of the goddess. So take a deep breath and imagine the moon shines brightly overhead. The light is so bright, you walk effortlessly along a path as it winds through an ancient forest. You feel a sense of reverence and awe as you move silently through the forest. Off in the distance, you see a clearing and begin to move rapidly toward it. As you step into the clearing, you're almost moved to tears. The moonlight sparkles off the ground, and you can feel the magic power of the night. Love and acceptance flow through you. The moonlight sparkles around you. You remove your shoes and run through the grass, feeling incredibly free. You dance with joy. You move freely, leaping and twirling. You sing at the top of your voice. You have never felt freer. The moon fills you with the magic and wonder of life. You stand in the center of the circle and give thanks for the gifts of the night. You bow your head and ask for assistance in carrying these feelings with you into all of your life. And just know this is so, and so it is.
So now I want to introduce our speaker. And in concluding our January theme, the transformation and the introduction of the Science of Mind textbook, how to use it, part 4. We have David LeMaster with us today. And his talk is called Radical Transformation is the Alchemy of Life. So let me tell you a little bit about David. He started working as a biologist for the Forest Service and Alaska Department of Fish and Game before he became a high school science teacher. After retiring from teaching in a small Eskimo village in Southwest Alaska, he and his wife, Beverly, moved to tropical Idaho. David began taking online Science of Mind classes, eventually becoming a licensed practitioner. Currently, he serves with the Creative Life Center under the leadership of Reverend Jesse Jennings. David feels called to supporting others on their spirit life path, especially those who may not live near a spiritual center. As a teacher, he enjoys connecting modern scientific understandings with the new thought wisdom. He loves hiking and fishing, his old Cessna, looking down upon the precious planet, as well as bird watching with his wife. Now, I had dinner with David and a few other people on Friday night, and I kind of leaned over and I said, David, is there anything special you would like for me to say to the people who are going to hear your talk? And he leans in with one eyebrow raised and he says, yes, I'm sure they know I walk on water. So I just let you know that you can walk on water. So with no further ado, let me introduce David the Master.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you, everyone. And what I forgot to tell her is in Alaska, the water is solid a lot. And so, yeah, we drive on a snow machine, truck to truck. But anyway, I'm so glad to be here, and I gotta watch my time because my wife Beverly knows I can just talk. But I am so thankful, very so thankful to be invited, and thanks to Arliss and Reverend Nadine, who's probably there in virtual land, and to have this opportunity here at the West Hawaii CSL. And what hit me just walking around here, I realized something, it may sound a little crazy, is I would rather be here speaking at this place than any cathedral on the planet. Because here, there's heart, there's spirit, there's soul. And it's not pretentious. It's folding chairs. It's real people. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful place to be. Thank you. I'm just so glad to be here. And for me, this is just another example of this unfolding blessings from Ernest Holmes' teaching. Because without that teaching, without connecting with that, and I want to thank my mother who gave me a Science of Mind book back in the late 70s. And I carried it around. I still have it all over my travels. And eventually I opened it up when things didn't work, wasn't working so well. And it changed my life. Just a quick note, for her, how she got into it. She lived in Kentucky on a farm. And she'd having a hard time, and she went to a bookstore, and she's wandering in this little strip mall bookstore looking for something to help her. Very difficult situation, large family, a lot of problems. And she fell down, there was a wrinkle in the rug, and she fell on her knees. Went to her knees, right? And when she's trying to get up, there was a little magazine down there, a little magazine, Science of Mind magazine. And she picked it up, took it home, realized this is it, this is the real stuff. Came back the next month, but we lived far away from, and asked for the guy said, lady, I don't know where you got that. We don't care about that. I've never seen it before. That's the way things tend to work in this realm. So anyway, my talk is actually how to use this philosophy to change your life, to transform your life. And as you probably know, Ernest was a very practical mystic. He was a mystic, but he believed he had to be able to demonstrate this mysticism, demonstrate this philosophy in the real world and use it for definite purposes. And so this process is, I call it the self-transformation. Self-transformation is a spiritual alchemy, and its alchemy is changing the lead into gold. So the lead of your life, the common, the dull, the less valuable, into that brilliant essence of the possibility and the highly valuable aspects of your life. This as an alchemy, the type of alchemy. And I want to start off with a story, a little story about my introduction to Hawaii back in the 80s. I went down to Hawaii with some friends. We lived in Nome at the time, nice place, Nome in Alaska. But anyway, went down to Kauai, went to the beach, and I hate to tell you this, but at that time I had a couple of degrees. I was a smart guy, really educated. I'd never been around the ocean, no clue. I'd seen it on television, and we got to the beach, and it was beautiful, and it was idyllic, and there was palm trees, and the waves were breaking on about 3 to 4 foot breakers, and there was nobody else in the water. It's like, what's up with this? You know, a few people super surfers. So man, I just ran out there, jumped in, got my butt kicked. It was trashing me, and I couldn't get out. And I'm crawling, trying to get out, and it's sucking me back out, and pulled my pants down around my ankles. You know, and so it was a transformation. Because my knowledge, my transformation from one way of knowing to another way of knowing, and that's what I see transformation. Leaving something or knowing something, and all of a sudden there's more. It's different than what you thought. And and from ignorance, going from ignorance to knowledge. And that's really important in this philosophy, is understanding how this principle works so that you can use it. Well, you got to gain, as we all know, you gain knowledge through experience. And this is the basics of, I'm a science person, that's the basis of science, is that, and this is the reason why Ernest Holmes used that in the second word in his textbook. And this philosophy is that science of mind, is because it's gaining knowledge of how this all works through using this principle and practicing. And he said, I have a quote here. He said, the realization that we have this ability of transforming our lives must be gained by the application of our knowledge. That's on page 53 of the book. Is you got to apply it. You can read about it. You can, put up pretty posters on your walls and everything else. But if you don't use it, it's not. That's the only way you're going to really understand how it works. Okay, but before we get into the nuts and bolts of how to use science of mind that I want to talk about, I want to talk about science of alchemy. Okay, the alchemist back in the 1700s, 1800s, their whole thing was to take lead, a commodity that they could easily get, and turn it into these processes into gold. They didn't know anything. They didn't know much about chemistry. But they had this, and there's one metal that really intrigued them, and it's a metal that's fluid. And so, a fluid metal, man, this has got to be a trick. We'll use this fluid metal and we'll heat it up and we'll use this and try to get it. Well, you know what that metal was? Mercury. And you know what happens when you heat mercury? You get mercury vapor. And then we can definitely talk about is the danger of mercury vapors, and mercury itself is it really messes with your nervous system, permanent damage. It gets in your system. So this is an important point, is that they were killing themselves because they didn't understand the principle of chemistry. They didn't understand how it worked. But they were on the right track. You can't actually change lead into gold. We can do it now with about a $6 billion super collider, and you get a little, so it's not exactly cost effective. So they were on the right track. It can be done, but not because they didn't understand it. And actually, it wasn't until this Russian decades and many lives later, because they died many decades later, this scientist in Russia called Mendeleev, and Mendeleev figured out that the elements, all the different elements, zinc and gold and lead and calcium and all this, they were arranged based on their weights, their atomic weights. And he came up with this, I'm sure many of you have seen the periodic table of elements. Is that when you're in high school, you see how in nursing student, the periodic table of elements is that he came up with that. And so it wasn't until that principle of chemistry began to understood that then they realized that lead has an atomic number of 82. So all you got to do is knock off 3 protons and you got gold. So it's the same stuff. All the elements are the same stuff. And it's just a matter of their arrangement. The trouble is getting the protons off. But the bottom line is with all this is that it can be disastrous fooling around with a principle when you don't understand. All right. And this is the problem. This is the core problem, is that we are always using this principle. We're always using this creative principle that Ernest Holmes talks about. And it's a good idea to understand it. Likewise. And so, and when I was contemplating this, when I was thinking about this talk, well, first of all, there's a quote by Ernest Holmes, I forgot to give you, is that we are surrounded by an intelligent force and substance from which all things come. I read it again. We are surrounded by an intelligent force and substance from which all things come. And in my notes here, I said, what could go wrong? Well, if you've got this intelligent force and substance and you don't know how to manipulate and use it and for positive reasons, it could definitely go wrong. Well, anyway, I was going to say that when I was thinking about this talk, and I was thinking about what we're always using the science of mind. And you hear it all the time. We're always using the science of mind. I went, no, because science means the study of or the knowledge of. What we're actually, many people are using, and like maybe we didn't when we were learning about this, we were using, I called it the chaos mind. So when you use the chaos of mind, guess what you get in your life? Chaos. You're in the vortex. You're reacting, this is happening, being a victim, being a judge, all this, and it just keeps spiraling. But when you come to understand the knowledge of how this works, then that becomes into the science. You can use it as the science. Okay, I want to give you another metaphor for using this principle. In this, because I view it as a flow. It's a powerful flow that's coming through. Well, up in Alaska, I was a medic. I was a teacher, but I was also a medic for the village, and I was also a fire person. It was a small village, 400 or 500 people, and we got called. And wonderful thing to get called on is the dump fire. The dump was on fire. Why people would set the dump on fire? But they set the dump on fire. And it is in a kind of somewhat spring, mushy time, and it is a slimy mess, half frozen, no water, mud, garbage, all that. So me and my the fire chief, we go to the fire truck, we go to the dump, and we pull out the line, 2.5-inch line, with a nozzle on it, and about 2.5-inch line. Well, I'm on the end of it, and I think he knew what he was doing. He was a Vietnam vet, and had a heck of a sense of humor. And so he charged that line. He started the pump and slammed that line. I'm on the end of it, and I get, I'm getting rolled in the dump. Right? Yeah. All this, he's laughing too hard. He won't turn it until I can turn it off. He's laughing at me, rolling the dump. Well, that image came when I was meditating about this talk about directing the flow of this powerful current of the creative force. And that if you can't control it, it goes all over the place. But the thing is, you can't let go of it because it'll beat you to death. So you gotta hang. Yeah, I was mad. But then that image would jump in my mind again, an Alaskan image of washing gravel, doing hydrologic mining. In Alaska, they do a lot of that. It was in other places where they spray high volume of water at sediments, and then they run it through their sluice boxes, and they get the gold out. And wow, this came through in meditation. It's like wow, because if you are using this creative process on precedence, in other words, only what's come before, it's like you're spraying your water for your sluice box into the garbage dump. In other words, you're just getting the cultural garbage that's always been done before, and you're doing that. And the other weird image that came to me was the idea of spraying it into the graveyard. And so you're getting all the bones and this stuff from the past instead of focusing in on your intuition or spirit is calling you something new. Those gravel piles of the future, the possibility of what could potentially be manifested in your life. And I know I never dreamed in my wildest dreams that I'd be in Hawaii giving a talk or a CSL, but this is a new gravel pile for me, and this is definitely the goal. And I love mining for this goal. Well, the other thing is on this hydrologic mining thing is that you got this current that's flowing through you with this hose, the creative process. You could be standing on your hose. You could have the valve not open. You have a kink. In other words, if you're limiting the flow of your good based on not realizing the knowledge that this flow is available and you can use it for good. Like I said, you can use it for good purposes. Okay, so moving on here, and so back to the nuts and bolts of how do you actually use this philosophy of the science of mind? Well, in science of mind, you can use it. First of all, in specific manners and practices. We call them spiritual practices, like Kim was doing, is meditation. Meditation, taking the busy noise personality self, quiet, and that way you can listen, you can hear. And then once you hear and you kind of perceive and see where your good could go, or it's calling you, what's calling you forward, is in affirmations. And we're going to talk about, we have index cards. The idea, that's what my transformation in Alaska when I was going through a really tough time. And I finally, and I was teaching science, I finally decided, okay, Ernest, we're going to do a science fair experiment. You know, I'm going to try this. I'm going to actually every morning write an index card before I go to school and teach, and sitting in front of my sun lamp because it's nice really long. And I write an affirmation card, and I put the index card down. It was my hypothesis that it would work or wouldn't work. But we'll try. Well, as those index card pile got bigger, my life really began to change for the better. Things began to really change. And suddenly, when I had 12 inches of index cards, I actually measured them. My life completely transformed. And my wife and I were able to leave our place in the village. It was nice, but it's something that was really calling us down to, like I said, tropical Idaho. Let me tell you, you live in Alaska long enough. Southwest Idaho, I'm Boise, it's tropical. We get a little stuck. But anyway, it transformed by using affirmations. And then understanding prayer treatment, understanding that, how to treat, and then using practitioners to help you when you get off track. All very important practices. Well, Ernest Holmes in page 54 to 55 in the beginning of How to Use Science of Mind, I love the way he outlines the steps. It's not the 7 steps, it's not the 5 steps, it's not, the party line. That's what we've been, when you're in school or Science of Mind training, that they tell you these. And those were kind of developed later, or outlined later. But I just wrote down what he said. And so here's the steps that I broke it down. Okay, number 1, stop thinking about and imagining, limitation, whatever the limitation is. It's a job, it's relationship problems or whatever. Stop thinking about it, stop imagining it. Or they're actually putting that out there to the universe. And then number 2 is relentlessly, I love to use that word, relentlessly cast these images that keep coming up in your mind. You know how it does, keep coming back in your mind. Keep casting them back out into the nothingness. Because they can't be of anything of substance, because the universe is based on the good and the flow. Okay, so you stop thinking about it, you cast them back into the nothingness, and then you declare, number 3, you declare your freedom from their negative influences. You declare, because they do have, in a sense, they do have power, because you've given them power by your thinking about them 24/7, and talking about it with friends and getting it on Facebook and whatever, and constantly reiterating these problems. Stop thinking about them, stop talking about them, cast them back into the nothingness. Okay, and number 4 is fill your mind, your thoughts with ideas of faith and the expectancy. Use that word a lot. The expectancy of good. It's coming, it's there. You're expecting it. And the realization that of a more abundant life. And that's what that got me, is I kept writing my affirmations about a more abundant life when I would have spiritual community, because I was doing this all on my own. I never had any community. And I dreamed of having a spiritual community. And now with online Zoom, and it's incredible how this is manifest. My prayer partner, Dana, and all of these beautiful people here. Okay, and then, so you feel your ideas like that. Number 5 is mentally see right actions. See that the right actions are happening, are aligning yourself, and things are coming and flowing in that direction, unfolding in your life. See those reactions. And number 6 is put your whole trust in the law of good. And this law that the universe is based on good law, and if you align yourself with it, it is going to, and you follow these steps, you quit thinking about the negative, it is going to deliver you into that experience. Number 7 is refuse to allow, this is a tough one, refuse to allow anything, self included, or anyone to contradict your realization of truth. You got this realization of a better way, a higher way, an unlimited way of existing, And other people sometimes will try to pull you back down into the old way of thinking because, you know, they want to keep you down, because you get too high, it makes them, you know, uncomfortable. So don't allow that. And I put the eighth step in there is repeat. Just go back to the beginning, go back and repeat. Stop thinking about it. You know, don't give it power, on and on and on. But anyway, those are the steps of, not the classic steps that you get in classes, but that's basically the steps that Ernest Holmes put forward, you know, when he how to use the science of the mind. Okay, so in summarize it, is that one is self-transformation. Transforming ourselves from one type of life to another type of life is spiritual alchemy through the applied use of principle. You know, the principle of science of mind, or positive thinking. And we either use, number two, is we either use this principle in ignorance as chaos of mind, or with the knowledge, and that's science of mind. This is the clincher. The law, just like that ocean, doesn't care. You know, if you want to jump into the 3 and 4 foot waves, sure, come on in. Yeah, and it'll roll you around like in the washing machine. Yeah. Okay, and so number 3 is that we always have access to this power and this flow, but we must mindfully direct it and not let it get control of us and end up spraying the garbage dump and rehashing what so and so did to us when we were 12 years old or whatever. But look at those gravel piles of the good that are waiting. That's where you're mining your gold, is where Spirit's directing you to new horizons. And number 4, lastly, is that using any scientific principle effectively requires a deep understanding of the principle. You have to understand how this works. This is not, you know, like I was raised in Catholicism and it was just great, beautiful and all that, but it's not just, you know, doing 3 Our Father, 3 Hail Marys and go to confession and you're good to go. No, this is, you have to understand how this works and then use it constantly, you know, as to transform your life. And I'm going to end on a quote by Ernest Holmes: "Is one should treat any given proposition until they prove this principle, until it proves its principle, no matter how long it takes. You just keep doing it. You just don't quit." Thank you.
Before you go, I forgot to do this earlier, but we will get this done.
Oh, we get it done now.
So.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's the best lay.
Anyway. One of the things that I took away from David's talk was not letting the monkey mind constantly talk to you and let it, you know, getting rid of that and starting over again. It can start over again. And boy, I remember how difficult that was in the beginning, but now it seems a lot easier, but sometimes it sneaks back and we still have to, okay, how do we use it again? Start from ground 1, right? Ground 0. So please join us virtually next week for another live music Sunday and our new monthly theme, which is From Me to We, is the new February monthly theme. And we will welcome back Dr. Reverend Nadine Rogers with her message, Undefended Love. And our artist, who is one of my favorite artists, and she's so dynamic and just a beautiful artist, is Jessie Powers. So she's going to be with us again. Yeah, so I just really love having Jessie join us. And now we're going to be doing some conscious giving, which gives us an opportunity to participate in the law of circulation. As you contemplate receiving a blessing of joy, we want you to know that as a community, we are being able to tithe each month to various programs within our greater community to pay it forward. And we love paying our blessings forward. We know that we have to receive as well as give. So we invite you to let your divine inner wisdom choose a blessing of joy that calls to you from your higher self. Keep it with you all week long and remember how much you are loved. Now we will complete the law of circulation by giving back. I invite you to invoke the feeling of gratitude through thoughts of infinite possibility right here where you are, allowing that to fill you and the space around you. So please join with me by repeating after me our prosperity affirmation. And I think the words are on the sheet. This gift I give is God in action. I give it in love. I give it in joy. I give it in gratitude. I give it knowing that it is given again.
I give it knowing that it is given again.
And so I graciously give.
And so I graciously give.
And so it is.
And so it is.
For those of you online, we offer easy ways to donate your offering. You can either make a donation through our website, cslwh.org, or by sending a check to the address, which is also on the website, and which is cslwh.org. We gratefully receive your gifts of tithes. Thank you for all the ways you support this center, this community, whether it be in the form of a donation, your time, or by sharing your positive light into the world. Your support allows us to connect with each other and to create a center where we can thrive and learn to contribute to a world that works for everyone. So I have a few announcements to make. We begin the global season for nonviolence on January 30th, which runs through April 4th. These dates commemorate the deaths of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King. This is an opportunity to raise awareness and enact peace practices to affirm the transformative power of peace.
Yes, and ACN is the money. You know, I'm putting this in.
Something's going on. I don't know what it is. Watch for the daily peace practices via email on your Facebook page for the next 64 days and deepen your commitment to inner and outer peace. You Are the Love of Your Life course with Arliss Dudley Cash runs on Saturdays from 2 to 3 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, starting on February 10th through March 23rd. This program is for women who are ready to take a soulful, wholehearted approach to move away from self-shame and criticism into self-compassion, self-acceptance, and self-love. The investment is $150. My Peace on Earth meditation and prayer time, Monday, starting February 12th, from 6 to 7 p.m. Experience the power of spiritual practices in the face of unsettling personal and global conditions. That one sounds very interesting. A reminder that Reverend Nadine has weekly office hours on Thursday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and that's Hawaii Standard Time. Whatever the reality you envision for yourself, Reverend Nadine is offering her spiritual counsel in support of your highest and best outcomes. Just email her to book your appointment. Remember that we are in person every second and fourth Sunday of each month. And you can find these recordings and the message spiritual practice on our webpage. And it's also posted on Facebook. The links to all of these events and to register can be found on our webpage and calendar at www.cslwh.org, or feel free to email us at cslwh.board@gmail.com. On behalf of our entire community, thank you for being part of our spiritual family today. And we look forward to seeing you again. It is now my pleasure to call upon David LeMaster to close our service with an affirmative prayer, after which we will sing the peace song together.
Thank you. Oh, what an honor. Okay, taking a breath, just feeling that power and presence flowing through here in this room and across the Zoom, Facebook waves, all that connection. Looks like a vision of a spider web of love. And right here, right now, I recognize that this one light, one presence, one power, one energy, one love is everywhere at all times. Therefore, I know that I must be this power of presence and love, joy, truth, and light. I am that. I know for myself, I know for everyone present, everyone here in this room, everyone present online, everyone on this planet, on all the other planets. We are of this one light, one presence. We are this thing itself. And I realize that this is good and very good, and that everyone, each individualized aspect of this divine presence is expanding, is growing, is unfolding beautiful, lightning ways, becoming more, ever more. And I'm so grateful knowing this truth. I'm so grateful having this philosophy. I'm so grateful to be here in the presence of such wonderful people and this amazing climate of Hawaii. I'm overflowing with gratitude. And with that feeling of gratitude, I release this word into that infinite law that always says yes. So it is.